We shall now take a look at the general structure of any C++ program that you are going to write. Those who have a PC at home, or even if you have a mobile device, you can go online, use a online GDB C++ compiler and type this particular program and execute it. All right. So this is a simple C++ program which shows you how to print a message, welcome to C++. In your Turbo C compiler, if you type this as it is and press Ctrl F9, it will compile and execute. Let's first take a look at the general structure of a program. Your program is this particular space. The first at the very top indicates a single line comment. So this is a comment. So you can write your name, when you wrote the program, when you last made changes, and so on. The next one contains the declarations of functions like cout. We have not written code for cout. Cout is a part of the library of C++. We are merely using it, and it is a part of iostream.h header file. So here the declaration is going to be of cout in this particular file. So this particular line, okay, this particular line is processed by a software called as the preprocessor. And this code cout, if you remember, you have not written code for this. You have only written code this and this bracket and this message. So this particular code will be linked by the linker. The cout code will be linked by the linker with your code to produce one single program. Suppose you had written here hash define 3.142 as the value of pi. That would be known as the macro. All these words will make sense in the next video or two. So if you do not understand anything or most of it, nothing to worry, absolutely nothing to be worried about. Then here, suppose I'm going to use some variables like int I, j. If I declare the variables like int I is equal to 10 outside every function, that is called as a global declaration of variables. So that variable can be used anywhere in your program. Now this is very similar. Int main is the first line which is going to be taken up or for execution by your computer. Now here after the flower bracket, if I can declare certain variables like int a comma b comma c, if I am using any variables, then I have, this is an example of an instruction or a statement. What this instruction or statement is doing, it is printing a message welcome to C++. So this is an example of a executable statement. Now suppose you had written your own code, something like main, you had written your own code to calculate the square root or to calculate the sine, the cosine or any other thing. Those are known as functions. So after main you could be followed by 0 or more functions, are also called as subroutines. F1 is the first functions, F2 all the way till Fn. So you can write as many functions as you want. Functions is breaking down a bigger problem into a smaller, more manageable, solvable problem. So what it does is, in main you're doing one part. Suppose you had to calculate the square root, you would have written another code just like main. Without giving it the name main, you would have said square root, calculated the square root and used it here. Now once you have taken a look at it, it would be nice to understand another program a little better, to give you a little more understanding of a C program, sorry, a C++ program. Now what I am doing here is, I have put one program on the left side here for you to watch. All right, just watch this program. Then what I'm going to do is, line by line I'm going to proceed to explain the working or how this program or what this program is really all about. So the best way to understand it is, take a look at each line and try to make sense of it. Okay. Right. Let's keep this here. Let's keep this here. So if you look at line number 1, anything in red on the left side is your line number. I am referring to the line number on the right side, so you really know what is happening. This fellow is a comment. Like, you can describe what the program is doing, your name, okay, your class, roll number, section, when you last modified it, who all is working on it, and so on. So this is an example of a single line comment. If you start with forward slash, this entire line is treated as a comment. Then the next two lines, you have something called as the header file or library file. Any line starting with the hash, okay, and having this angle breaks indicates that we are using certain library or ready-made functions. For example, if you want to calculate the square root, you need to include math.h. If you want to calculate the sine, cosine, logarithm, again you will need to include math.h, because I and you are not going to write the code for math.h. The code for math.h is the code for square root log is already going to be there. We are just going to use it. So you need to declare the header or library files using hash include when you're using square root, when you're using cout, cin. Cout is to display something on the screen as we saw in the previous thing. Now the next one is, if you remember, when you're trying to calculate the area and circumference of a circle, you need the value of pi. So what I'm doing is I'm defining it here. Hash define pi is 3.1415. This fellow is known as a symbolic constant or also known as a macro. So right now a lot of these are new buzzwords. Just remember these words. When we are going into them and trying to do problems, a lot of things will be clear. So right now just understand that this particular line is called as a symbolic constant or the macro. Then this is followed by the main function. This is the first line which is going to be executed. The flower bracket indicates the beginning of the main. Then in order to calculate the circle's area and circumference, I need certain memory locations. The first is radius, the next is circumference, and the next variable is area. So line 7 and 8 indicate the local variables or memory locations which I am going to use for calculation. Then just see what happens between line 9 to 15. 9 to 15 is a series of instructions. Here, for example, I am asking the user enter the radius. He or she is entering the radius. Area is calculated as pi into r square. Circumference is 2 into pi into radius. Then I am displaying the radius here. Don't worry about slash and all this thing. I'm displaying the radius here, area of the circle. Sorry, I'm displaying the area of the circle here, and I'm displaying it as area here. Cout, circumference of the circle as circle, and then ending by return 0. Last line is it marks the end of the function. So this is a simple program meant to show you how I am calculating the area and circumference of a circle. So take a look at each of the line and try to understand what they really mean. Do not worry about what they are trying to do. Don't get panicked by all these kind of colon slash, all these semicolons and all these. This syntax over a period of time will be very clear to you. As in algorithms, anything which has to be printed as it is enclosed in double quotes. This is a variable, this is a variable, whereas circumference and this area of a circle is going to be printed on the screen as it is. It's a fixed string, a constant string, or a message. So I hope this gave you an idea about what a C++ program looks like, what are the different parts. I have not used any other functions, but you could use functions and do the needful. In the next session, we'll dig a little more deeper into each of these lines to give you a much better idea of a C++ program.